The Body Confidence Talk Show with Denise Cardenas. In the air, and Valentine's Day decorations is all over the stores. Everywhere I go is Valentine's Day. So while it's something fun to celebrate and, celebrate love and romance, I feel like it could also put a lot of pressure on relationships and on single people, especially those who struggle with body image and feel like they don't have the confidence to put themselves out there. And at times, they end up even in the wrong relationship because of these body image struggles that they face. And I know I've experienced this before. I'm completely aware of it now, which before I actually wasn't. And I know I'm not the only one who has experienced this before and feels this way. And I wanted to bring light into this topic and bring in an expert who can help us learn how to build self-esteem around our bodies so we can have fun putting ourselves out there. I feel like dating should be fun, and a lot of times it's not. And really find a healthy relationship where we can experience being loved and being ourselves. And I knew the perfect person for this job was Amanda McPherson. Amanda is a trained life coach and holds a master's degree in counseling. And hear this, guys, this is my favorite part. She is a recovering, risk avoiding scary cat. I thought that was the cutest thing ever. I wanted to make sure I didn't forget this part. She is passionate about empowering women to live and love boldly. She particularly loves working with women in the areas of dating, relationships, and overall self-confidence, which we all need. And she's also the founder of Girl, Get Your Roots Done. So Amanda, thank you so much for being here and doing this episode with me.
Oh, I'm so excited. There's, nothing I like talking about more than women, self-confidence, and particularly in the area of dating and the search for finding the right partner. So.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's something we all struggle with. Like I mentioned, I never realized that my body size was an excuse for me for not putting myself out there. But here's the thing though, even on my skinniest years, I still would criticize myself. I didn't feel like I had the boobs, the butt. It's just so many things that I feel like we criticize and compare ourselves. And what I love about when I met you is that you were so open about your dating experience. And, I wanted you kind of to bring in that with us and share your personal experience with, your dating journey. Because now you found your soulmate, right?
I believe I have. Yeah. But yes, it was not without a lot of trial and error. First I always, sometimes when I'm giving kind of my spiel and introducing myself, I say did you know those girls in high school who just seemed to know who they were comfortable in their own skin. They were confident enough to speak up and go after what they wanted. Well, I was not that girl. I wasn't in a lot of aspects of my life. Dating and looking for that person was just one area where it really reared its head. And I think that that's pretty common because it is such a vulnerable thing. There's the highs, the lows, the rejection, the hopefulness. There's not a lot of things that bring that up, I think, as much as dating and putting ourselves out there in that way. So, I always think, I do what I do because I know what it's like to not feel confident. And even though I would have probably been somebody where people would have been confused by that, why wouldn't I be confident? I had some of the outward signs of success, but it didn't matter. And I think that's one thing that, we want to talk about today. When you focus on your body size, your education level, your accomplishments, whatever it is, that's not how real love and connection works. It's not about our a certain body size then brings you all the happiness and all the dates and all, right? There's just so many examples out there. If we look at that logically and intellectually, that's just not the truth. It just doesn't, love and connection is just much more mysterious than that. So, you know, I want to just say that body size and type is just one way that our insecurities show up, but we all have them. I had them again, even when I was, you know, the thinnest I'd ever been, or was working out every day and all of that. You know, I always had, you know, had that comparison thing. There were always people that I thought had it better than I did. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you make such a great point about, you know, how you mentioned like it's not your body size. People think, yeah, and you know, I'm so guilty of that. It's like I'll once I lose weight, I will feel so confident. I am going to attract the perfect partner, and you have this image, you know. And do you feel like this is a common struggle, like even like with the women that you work with that have this problem to they think it's their body weight or something external pretty much.
Absolutely. And so, you know, yeah, I mean, I can't, I have over the 10 years I've been doing this, like, I can't count how many people who are, you know, going to go on a diet and then get online, or let's wait till after, you know, the new year, cause I'm going to lose this many pounds and then I'm going to go online. And I mean, while I can get it on some level, you know, again, there's a lot here. Okay, let me unpack a lot of this, because I did
Okay.
a lot of dating. I did. So let's get back. I did not marry for the first time until I was almost 45 years old. So, but I had boyfriends since the age of 14.
Okay.
So by no means was I not trying from a very young age. Get love and attention from boys, eventually men. You know, that was my biggest sort of growth, personal growth journey, was through discovering myself on this dating sort of voyage. Other people maybe meet their high school, they marry their high school sweetheart for whatever reason, it works out, and they don't have, they don't grow in that way. It's something else, right? That sort of causes them maybe to have some aha moments. For me, it was this search for a mate. And, you know, I look back, and for so many years, I was searching for that with those insecurities just driving me in that search, right? I wanted someone to make me feel like I was pretty enough, smart enough, you know, enough. I wanted somebody, some other, particularly a man, to choose me. And when I was dating that way, I kept, well, not being in really great relationships, right? I wasn't choosing. So I know if your body size is still ringing in your mind and in your heart, and is as a huge insecurity, that is something you need to spend some time working on, right? Like I don't think any of us are ever insecurity free. You know, maybe some people out there can say they don't have any insecurities. I mean, I'm a life coach. I've been doing this for a long time. There's not a week that goes by that I don't have to fight a couple moments of self-doubt or whatever, but it's not the majority of who I am, right? It's not the primary energy that I go with. There was a time when my insecurities was a bigger part of the Amanda package. And, you know, my insecurities might've been about something different other than body size, although that was certainly in there. I certainly felt that pressure to have a certain look and be a certain, you know, body type and all of that. You know, but it's still the same. Like, what are you bringing into your search? And if you're bringing, I'm not good enough, I'm not attractive enough, no one would choose me, whether you are a size 2 or a size 22 or whatever in between, that is, you are not going to partner up with somebody probably that's very healthy for you, right? Because you're looking to be saved, you're looking to be told you're enough. So again, while I don't think any of us have to wait to start dating till we're insecurity free, because I don't think that exists.
I'm glad you said that, because that's such my excuse too.
Like, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Talk about that. So I always, when and tell me if I'm getting too off track here,
Oh,
Denise.
no, go for it.
When I talk to people about dating, I say, okay, it's kind of like 50% of it is working on ourselves. Like, yes, that's, or maybe more or whatever, but
Mhm.
50% of it is getting to a place where you really truly love and value yourself. That does not mean you don't have insecurities or weak moments or times you doubt yourself, but your default is a place of self-love and I'm a worthy human, right? Like, so we got to do that. And then the other part is choosing people that that will help us feel more secure and more safe and emotionally safe, right? And so, if you're doing all this work on yourself and you feel really, really great about yourself, to this day, I could probably be with a man who would trigger my insecurities,
Mm.
right? Like someone
Mhm.
who I could tell only cares about looks or the externals. I dated someone like that off and on for a very, very long time, and dated different types of men like that
Mhm.
that you can't even say it's their fault necessarily. That's who they were. And then I came into it with this insecure part, and so it was a very toxic situation because it was just like I was in the lion's den. I was playing with the lions that were going to trigger those insecurities. When I met the man I'm now married to, I didn't come into it perfect. I didn't come into it without insecurities, a fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, all this stuff that I had done all this work on. I had done a lot of work on it. So it wasn't just like I was bleeding all over the place, like
Mhm.
I had healed. And then I met this man who consistently met me with acceptance, compassion, built me up, you know, um, believed in me. And so, yes, we need to work on ourselves, but that's never going to be 100%. Please don't wait till you feel like, oh, I would never be hurt. I would never feel disappointed. Like,
Right.
again, the man I met before I married my husband literally ghosted me so out of the blue and so hard that I was Googling if he had died in a car accident.
Oh,
like that's how much the rug was ripped out from underneath me.
right.
I had done a lot of self work. I had done a lot of growth. I had done and it hurt.
Mhm.
I guess my point is like I wasn't like I can date now and nothing hurts me and nothing's going to disappoint me. Like I cried about that. I was disappointed. I was shocked. I was confused. Um Even after doing all this work, but you know, I believed I could get through that. So let's go back to people that are sitting here going, yeah, but it's about my body, right? My body. Well, again, it's not about now. I just know I'm never going to get hurt by somebody. No one's, I would rejection's absolutely fine. Bring it on. Like none of us want that. But it's about loving yourself enough to know you'll get through it. It
Mhm.
won't break you. It won't crush you. So, whenever you say to me, Denise, I'll put you on the spot, you're admitting it about yourself, or when someone tells me, I don't want to start dating, whether that's online or just,
Mhm.
putting themselves out there, however they feel like that is. And they say, I don't want to do it till I'm, got this and this and this. Like, I think that's because they're basically saying, I'm not going to be able to handle the potential hurt and disappointment.
Totally. You're right on point. You're totally like speaking to me, and I feel like yes, it's such a huge aha moment. Everything you've been saying, I'm like, uh-huh, uh-huh. Like I'm taking mental notes. When one of them that I feel like is we go into these relationships looking for that validation
Mhm.
of telling us like, oh yeah, we're enough. And I was like, oh my God, I was thinking of all these relationships that I've been in where I was like, oh, they think I'm beautiful, like they think I'm worthy. So I
Mhm.
would stay in those relationships even though they were not good. Like just the attention alone, that was my
Yeah.
self-worth, and I feel like that's such a huge thing. So now I took this long pause from dating because of those fears. Like, I don't want those triggers to, because I've been working so much on
Right.
myself, like, learning to love my body is another thing, because that's another reason I was like, I want to go back to my size before I was when I was dating, before I put myself out there. But again, it's another insecurity that I'm using it as an excuse, but at the same time, I don't want to take steps back and be triggered again and feel like I'm back to square one. So, yes, like everything you're telling me is spot on.
Yeah, well, thanks. And I think it is a lot of people are probably nodding to this, right? I mean, you know, loving yourself, learning to grow, growing yourself, all that. I always say that does not protect, that does not mean, and now you're going to have a perfect life and nothing's ever going to hurt your feeling and you're not going to have disappointment. Like, no, it's about knowing you can handle it. So, knowing you can handle the disappointment, like knowing you'll be able to handle a breakup, and also trusting yourself. Trusting yourself, I know a lot of women that I work with say, I don't know if I trust myself to choose a good guy, let's just say.
Yes, yes. I
Like,
feel that because we've chose so many wrong people that we stop trusting ourselves. That's another thing. That's another insecurity.
right? It is. It's like, so
It,
again,
it keeps on piling up, like
it's
our
like,
all of our insecurities at once.
well, it is. It's like everything. I mean, it has like layers to the onion. So, while again, body size, I'm not minimizing how much society and everything just has really like brainwashed us, where we aren't even like, we can't even like get out of the idea of what is the right look or the right size. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a rare person that's not impacted by that, right? And on some level, but it's really, just you go under the layers of that, and that's like you got to examine more than just the body size. Okay, so what am I thinking that says about me? And listen, if you I mean, this may not sound very I don't know, very politically correct or something, but if you are truly knowing you are not living in accordance to the values and the way you want to show up in this world, like if Denise knows her best self is not, you know, hugely overweight or something,
Mhm.
then that's on you to kind of get that more aligned, get that where it's not so misaligned, because that doesn't feel good to not feel aligned, right? It's like if I was doing all this and doing all this life coaching, and then I went out and got drunk every day and smoked a pack of cigarettes and whatever, like I wouldn't feel good about myself, because that's not really who I want to be. So it's finding this balance, though. I mean, not perfectionism about your body, but you've got to get like, are you living according to your values and not society's about sight?
Right.
Are you being good to yourself? Are you being kind to yourself? Do you like how you're treating yourself and your body? And again, not perfect. You don't have to be perfect, but really at the core of it is, when you look at yourself in the mirror, do you like you? Do you love you? So let me tell a story about my now husband. Okay. So, like I said, I did all this dating. I mean, I lived in Austin, Texas for a long time. And I was thinking about this as I was preparing for this podcast. I dated some of Austin's, like they were literally in a magazine, Austin's top bachelors,
Yeah.
these guys that were, and, they had the outer presentation, right, of what people would have thought was, the thing, I dated guys that had millions of dollars. They typically had the look too. They had the Range Rover and the whatever, the swag and then the look and all that. I didn't marry those guys. I couldn't even date them very long because we didn't connect on the level that was really important to me. And or they tapped, again, I'm not even blaming them really. They tapped into those insecurities. I knew they expected a certain look every time. It was more about what people thought. And oh my gosh, if I had ended up with somebody like that, that would be a miserable way to live. So, I'm speaking to, so again, so many lessons in this. Like, if you are somebody that feels like you're in a relationship, or you could end up in a relationship with somebody who makes you feel like you better always look, perfect in your body, and they wouldn't understand that, like, just life happens and gravity happens and phases,
Right.
if it's based on that, like, can you imagine how miserable that would be? I mean, you never can just exhale and relax and just, like, that's just,
Yourself.
yeah, be yourself, like, in all the ways. And I think about some of the guys, particularly one that I dated for a long time. I literally sometimes wake up now in my marriage and look just, I just look so crappy, and my hair's this way, and I'm wearing like mismatched baggy pajamas, and I literally sometimes think to myself, oh my gosh, if I had married, what's his name?
You're right.
I wouldn't feel this comfortable in this relationship. Like, so I'm saying this to say, like, if you're out there starving yourself, working yourself to death, trying to fit this part to get these partners, men, women, whatever, you're in, like, why would you want that?
Right.
No, you want somebody who is going to make you feel the most comfortable and the most accepted that you've ever felt. Bottom line, like, and that can come in all shapes and sizes. So getting back to, I had kind of had, I probably was part of the problem, in that I was attracted, of course, to these very outer shiny, kind of
I
packages.
think we all go through those phases though. It's just like I feel like that society like kind of puts that pressure like or like what would my family say? What would my friends say?
Right.
It's up there in the air. It's not like what we want, you know?
It's so drilled in. That's what I'm saying. It's like hard to even like separate it and be aware of it,
Right,
because
right.
like it's just been like literally since we were conscious humans, right? Like it's just the way. Again, I think there's some movement out there to try to change that a bit these days, more so than when I was going through like high school and all that. But
Yeah.
so anyway, so I met the man I'm now married to. He did not fit the mold of what, I had always sort of dated. He
Mhm.
wasn't filthy rich. He didn't drive a Range Rover. He wasn't Mr. Workout guy. That actually
Mhm.
wasn't a huge part of his life. He
Mhm.
honestly had gone through a tough sort of time in his career. When I met him, he very candidly said, I didn't take care of myself. I've, gained a lot of weight. Like he wasn't, but it was paired, all of that was paired with this foundational thing of the guy liked himself. The guy
Mhm.
respected himself. And that was very attractive, right, to me.
Mhm.
So I also want to say, ladies, I'm not telling you to go for the nice guy that you've got it, you're wrapped around your finger and you feel kind of sorry for him, and you're not really that attracted. Like that's not. So again, I see people go from like, they go for like the swaggery, like that's not good for you, to the safe, like, oh, well, this guy would never hurt me because he's such a wimp,
Mhm.
so this feels good. And okay, no, neither one of those are going to make you happy, right?
Mhm.
You want somebody who you respect, but they've got to respect themselves. It's the same thing. That's what they want from us.
Right. As you were saying that, I was like, okay, that makes your husband's a perfect example just in the male version, right? Like, we have to respect ourselves first. We have to feel we are enough,
Yeah.
because we're bringing all this, like, I feel like, when we go into relationships, when we feel we're not enough and we're looking for that validation, we kind of put a lot of pressure on our partner to
Uh,
fill that void,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. It's so true. I mean, again, I look back and I don't blame all these. I don't even like, I don't want to demonize all these like men, because I was coming into it as, I need you, I'm not good enough without you. And then that
Mhm.
triggered them, and then that triggered me. And then, it just was an awful dance. So yeah, it puts a lot of pressure. Again, it's not about being perfect. I had a friend one time, it was a male friend, and he said, everyone has baggage. It just needs to fit in the overhead compartment.
That's a great analogy.
So it's the same thing with our, our bodies. And I mean, I talked to my husband about, oh, this, I've gotten in this certain age and my body's not the same. Like, it's not like I don't ever have some
Right.
doubts about it, my body or anything else, but it's not, again, I'm not bleeding out all over the place and putting pressure on him to fix me and help
Right.
me.
It's not consuming you. I feel like
Yeah.
now that I like been doing this and just kind of doing more research on this, it's really just accepting who you are in any part of our bodies, who we are as a person, what we believe. It's like, I feel like we try to mold ourselves to what society says we should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And and you've got to truly accept that. Again, I've worked with some clients who are like, well, I can't truly accept that I need to lose 75 pounds. I'm like, well, okay, then what can you accept? Well, I can accept that I want to be healthy. I want to nourish my body. I want to take care of myself and see that will probably result in my body looking a little differently. Okay, well, that's a more healthy thing. Like, can you accept that? Yeah, I can accept that. I can accept that I may never be a size 2, but I also can't accept that I'm eating Cheetos every night. I mean, I know this is not, I'm just being realistic. I hope that I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just saying you've got to decide what you can really accept.
Mm-hmm.
You
No, I
can't,
completely agree. It's just like,
people can tell you like it doesn't matter, and if that doesn't ring true to you, like you've got to figure out what you can really accept, or else it doesn't really stick.
I completely agree with you because before this, I know I was not eating healthy. I was not exercising. I wasn't treating my body with love,
Right.
because I was just neglecting it.
Right.
And once I kind of switched that, it wasn't about all the time eating healthy or just
Oh,
that's all I was thinking about. It was more of a healthy balance. And I kind of changed my mindset on that, where it was more like, I want to feel more energy,
right.
so I'm more conscious in that sense, but it's not like, oh, I'm never going to have a chocolate. Like,
No, again, it's if you're doing things that are not aligned with who you really like your best, like who you really want to be.
right.
Please, no, I'm not saying it's not somebody, if they're totally aligned with, being overweight or whatever, it's fine. But you, Denise, knew I'm not loving myself. And that's just one way it's showing up, right? Is I'm
Mhm.
not taking the time or the effort or whatever to nourish myself and to, have good energy and to, literally be able to go through the day without low energy. Like that's the piece. And then the rest kind of falls into line, right?
Right. Mhm.
Uh, so, again, not about being perfect. It's just, can you stand by kind of how you're living and does that feel good to you? But that has body size or anything. I mean, again, my thing might not have been body size, but I knew I was deeply insecure. I knew that I tried to fill myself up with shopping or
Mhm.
attention from men, or I had my vices, and that didn't bring a version of Amanda into these relationships that was very healthy,
Mhm.
right? So of course they weren't going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, I love all this because from all of this, our whole conversation is just really like loving ourselves and accepting ourselves, who we are, whatever size we are, no matter how we look. Maybe we're not the typical girl next door that we see, on Instagram. And it's just accepting ourselves. And I feel like once we kind of accept that and go into the dating world, you
Yeah.
know, I feel like we will attract, it's like that law of attraction, right? We'll attract who we're meant to be with or who we connect with, or even better, like getting that trust, right? I mentioned like I don't trust, so I feel like I don't trust myself choosing the right person, but I feel the more I work on this and accept where I am. It's like I will notice I've done so much work on myself, and I feel like I've been not
Yeah.
wanting to test that part of myself yet.
Right. Well, because it's to me, it's pretty natural because it's one of the more vulnerable kind of arenas
Hmm.
we can step in. It brings up a lot of stuff, a lot of our old wounds, family, it brings up a lot of stuff when you're what you're really trying to find is this really, really close, intimate connection with somebody.
Hmm.
It's not like it's just, I mean, I always say like interviewing for a job and dating both are just horrible processes, right? Because you get your hopes up, you get rejected, you
Hmm.
whatever. And jobs, the job stuff really stinks. I know it's hard, but the dating is just even a couple more levels because it's tapping into, you know,
It's
um,
vulnerable, like you're being vulnerable out there.
yeah, and like somebody's, accepting you or not. But I guess, what I want to also say, it was funny, I was having a conversation with a client about just this thing. This person was saying, but I'm not the, typical girl they would go for. I don't have the look. I don't have, and I want to say, like, please give this whole idea of love and connection, give it more credit. There's more mystery and there's more, heart and soul to that than, well, he's 6'2" and weighs 185 and she's, 5'4" and, is a size 2. So they're going to be a perfect, like, that's just not how it
Right.
works. It's just, there's now not how that works for mature people that are really seeking a partnership.
Hmm.
If somebody's marrying you or partnering you with whatever your ultimate goal is, if they are doing that just because of how you look, is that what you want? Like, that's
Right.
not good. Like,
Hmm.
you want to know that they love the essence of you, the heart and soul of you. And, whatever your size is, whatever your body type is, right? Like, if you think that's a factor on whether somebody does choose you or doesn't choose you, like that's not really accurate. Like,
Hmm.
there's so much more that goes into, again, I ended up with my husband because, first of all, the first time I met him, I was like, there's just something about this person. I want to spend more time with him. He's
Hmm.
not my type, but there's something about him. And then there were all these sort of milestones and, that happened pretty quickly where, like, he would respond to me, like, let's say I was upset about something, or I don't know, the way he would be with me, the way he would come towards me instead of, oh, you're crazy, or, oh, I'm out of here, or, oh, I'm going to ignore this, or, like, it was exactly what the girl who always wanted to be loved needed.
Hmm.
Now, again, I wasn't bleeding all over the place, but there was still that part of me that needed somebody, that of course needed somebody that would show, I'll move towards you when you need me, not away. Right.
Hmm.
And that just happened so many times where I was like, no, this doesn't happen every day.
Right.
Cross this every day.
Do you feel like when you met your husband, you were in a different mindset in a way versus how you were in the past?
Yes. I think yes and no. Like, again, I want to get into, like, I was not perfect. So, like, there's never a time if you're sitting there going, well, I still need to make all these changes. Like,
Hmm.
yes, I had done a lot of this work. I had had enough experiences to show me, like, the shiny whatever doesn't necessarily work for you,
Yeah.
Amanda. Right. I had done some exploration and I would have everyone really think about this. Like, why do you want a relationship? Now, that may sound like a silly little, like, simple question,
Hmm.
but no, like, is it because you want your best friend, your companion, your person that's going to help you navigate your life, ups and downs, be a partner? Is it because you want to get wined and dined? You want the excitement? You want trips? You want And I'm not even judging if that's what it is.
Right.
But you know, is it so that everybody will think you've arrived? You
Mm-hmm.
finally gotten chosen? Like you need to get really clear. You know, you may be sitting out there thinking, well, you know, I'm the one that has the insecurity about, you know, my body or whatever, but you need to think, why do I want this? And if it's just to finally get the feeling that you're enough, uh-oh, uh-oh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you're gonna let guys or girls, again, I'm being pretty heteronormative here because that's my experience, but I think this applies to, you know, all right, every humans, but you're going to date people that, you know, don't treat you well or take advantage of you or don't respect you, or you're going to date people that you're not really that into because you're just sort of playing it safe and don't want to really be with somebody you could partner with. So does that make sense to like, so when you say, have I changed, I had sort of, I wasn't 100% there, but I sort of understood that I was really looking for more of that steady, comfortable, safe place to land.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and maybe before that wouldn't have seemed as exciting
Mm-hmm.
or as appealing to me, but I still wrestled with it. You know, whenever I met my now husband, I called up my life coach and I was like, we need to double up our sessions because I could tell, uh-oh, I'm wrestling a little bit here. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm wrestling a little bit with, this is what I've always kind of done, and this is my comfort zone to kind of be in this cat and mouse chase thing and all this sort of, and here's this person that's not like that, but I know it's pretty cool, but I'm unfamiliar with what this is like, and it could really actually turn into something where maybe I really would have to commit and do this
Right.
whole, like, real relationship thing, not just shiny, let's go out and put on our outfits and, you know, go out to dinner thing, you know.
Right.
And so again, I want to say, like, get support you need, like, know that you probably will be a little bit triggered in these
Mm-hmm.
experiences, know that you have someone to, you know, talk to or whatever. And yeah, no, I wasn't, but I had finally gotten tired of the dynamic of me not feeling like I could be comfortable and just feel truly accepted, and that it was a really, like, emotionally safe place. Like I had tired of that. I knew I shouldn't be in that anymore. So yeah, I guess I was more open to it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I have so many aha moments and a lot of confirmations. You know, one of them is that you don't have to be perfect. That's something I'm always working on. And, you know, always, I'm like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. Like, you know, I'm looking for that perfectionism. So I love that you keep on mentioning that and like hounding it in this
Right. I did.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't think that's realistic. So
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like all of us need to hear this over and over. Sometimes repetition is the best way to do that.
mm,
And another thing is like I feel like the awareness, a lot of awareness from this conversation that I had, especially learning that I need to be enough first, you know, and I feel
not
that's a
perfect, but enough.
not perfect, but enough, like where I'm just like, this is who I am. You show up knowing this is who I am. You accept me or you don't, you know, and being okay of not being accepted because that, I mean, even though I know it will hurt, I'm not saying just walk away, girl. You know, but it's just reminding yourself. I feel like that's such a huge thing, or reminding yourself that, you know, it's not you. It's not meant to be, really.
Yeah. Again, I'm sorry, I could go on forever, but
Uh,
it reminds me of a story. So my husband's Canadian, and when we married, I left Texas and I moved up to Canada for a little while. And of all things, like in this random way, I actually met a girl that he had gone out with a couple times right before me.
yeah.
Like pretty, like, you know, it was an online thing, and I met her, and you know, it was just this interesting aha moment. You know, and my husband was honest. He was like, yeah, she didn't, you know, I asked her out again and she passed, she wasn't interested. And it was like, she was like, no. And I was like, heck yeah, it's the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't make him no good or not good enough, because I mean, she was like, no. And then 6 months later, he met somebody who was like, yeah, and ended up marrying her.
Right.
So it was just this kind of aha moment that I had of like, she went out with the same guy I went out with, and she didn't want more time or want, like, and I think
Mm-hmm.
he's amazing. So it is that willingness just to, and he, again, that's how he looked at it. It was just like, meh, she didn't, I mean, I'm sure it was a little bit of a disappointment. I mean, you
I'm
you
sure.
send a message and somebody doesn't message you back or something, but he didn't go, oh gosh, forget it. And I'm never going to go after somebody again who, I feel like might reject me, or, like he was just like, okay, I wasn't her brand of, whatever, wasn't her flavor of ice cream, or,
Right.
and he was mine. So yeah, the whole, like, it's like, I've talk about rejection, like, you're human, it's never going to feel awesome. It doesn't feel awesome to me either, but not letting it shouldn't take you down to a zero.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is what, if you're not dating because of that, you need to work on that. It's not about your body size. You need to work on, would one person deciding they didn't like you, or a couple people, would that take you down to where you questioned who you are and your value? That's not going to be a fun way to date. You said dating should be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun. Yeah, exactly.
And it's more fun if you don't have that ride. It's not fun if you go on that ride. It's not fun at all.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Having a coach, a life coach, or, I know we always say, especially as women, oh, I have my girlfriends. we chat. Sometimes they're not the best conversation it's fun.
Yeah.
I love still doing it, but I feel like when someone has such a deep insecurity, body image, or not feeling worthy, or anything like that, I feel like speaking with someone who has gone through it and knows how to navigate through it, it's I've seen so much change in myself working with someone doing
Absolutely.
that, and I feel like anyone that's listening that really, struggling with this and can't navigate it, or is always in and out of bad relationships, or maybe they're currently in a bad relationship, seeking support outside of your family, outside of people who really know you, because hearing that perspective from someone else has so much impact in your soul versus just someone I'm like, well, of course, she's my mom. She's gonna say I'm great. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
more than that.
It's not as impactful. You're
Mhm.
right. It's just not as impactful. So, well, I really, the more I've gotten to know you, Denise, like, I've really admired how much you've worked on yourself and done that through being willing to have these sort of coaches and these folks, that aren't just going to tell you what you want to hear, or,
Right. And I feel like it's so funny because I always tell everybody, when you go into someone and work with someone, like, they're going to tell you how it is. They're not going to sugarcoat it like a family or a friend would be, they're your cheerleader, but also they're going to tell you how it is, and you're going to feel uncomfortable. But again, like I said, it's so rewarding. And maybe in the next time we speak, I'm like, I'm going on a date and it's fun. Like,
I hope so. I mean, or if that's what you want, I always got to say, there's nothing wrong with being single, and it doesn't say anything about you. We're talking about nearing Valentine's Day. I mean, my gosh, I spent most of those very single, and I know how it can start to feel like something's wrong with you, or you don't. There is, again, just like there's a societal thing about body, there's a societal thing about you're better if you're partnered. Again, I think that's changing some.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I wasn't expecting the conversation to go there, but I love that. It's so true. I mean, I've been single for so many years, and I feel like, yes, it has to do with me being in a 6 years toxic relationship for so long. So a lot of that I had to heal and work through. But also being alone, I never realized how much I loved it. I feel like I got to know myself so much more of what I want, what I don't want, and I love being with myself.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's so true what you mentioned because I have family members being like, they don't want to see me single. They want me seen with someone, and I get where they're going with it, but also at the same time, I like where I'm at. And what do you tell those people who feel like they have to be in a relationship? Because I feel like when I got into my relationship, my last relationship, it's because I felt like all my friends were in a relationship and I had to settle down. I had to go through that.
Yeah. Gosh, I mean, so I've done a lot of like dating coaching and dating workshops and stuff. And,
Mhm.
sometimes let's say I have a group of 6 women together. Sometimes sometimes my coaching advice to some of them is stop dating.
Mm.
So stop the merry-go-round or the hamster wheel or whatever you want to call it of always feeling like you need to be with somebody. And then with other ones, I'm like, start dating. You gotta know where you are on that.
Right, right.
I needed to stop dating. No, I went, no, I say stop dating. I needed to stop being in relationship after relationship and just
Mhm.
stay, feeling like I needed that. So I spent a long time, without that myself, a decade probably without having a significant partner, dated, but and that's what I needed because I was tended to go like I was addicted almost to having a relationship,
Mhm.
right? And I needed to stop that pattern. So I would just say, if you kind of see yourself like if you look up and you're like, I really can't think about a time I've spent alone. Like I have not spent more than like a year. Like, yeah, I think we should, you probably should talk to somebody about that, to be honest, right?
Right.
Um, on the other hand, if you're somebody who knows that your path of growth, I call it path of growth. What's your path of growth? For some of us, it is taking a step away and
Mhm.
being alone and getting out of the cycle and the thought pattern of I need somebody, I have to have somebody, I can't do things on right. For others of us, it is opening up. Our path of growth is opening up, or is a season of life. It's opening up, being willing to, date more and take more, risks in that way. And
Mhm.
it's not the same for everybody. But and I'll say this, like I've only been married a little under 3 years. So by no means do I have it all figured out. By no means. But I have a few like until you meet somebody, single, wonderful single people out there, please hear this. Until you meet somebody who makes your life easier, more joyful, more grounded and loving and all that, do not do it. I was just sort of casually messaging this friend the other day who's been in a relationship for a while.
Wait, did you say do not do it if they make you feel safe
Oh,
or
I meant don't be in a relationship until you find that.
okay, okay. I was like, wait, you had me going and I'm like,
Yes,
don't
yes, no, no,
do
no. I'm saying until you meet that, like that is like there's no point.
Mhm.
Like if it is a distraction. So I was messaging this kind of acquaintance the other day. I was like, oh, it looks like you've got, she's been with this guy. And she's like, yeah, it's good. But she's like, you know how it is. Like relationships are so stressful. And I'm thinking, no, no, mine's not. My relationship is not stressful. My
Mhm.
relationship is a stress reducer. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect,
Mhm.
but I am with somebody who makes the hard times easier. I am with somebody who adds to my life. I'm with somebody who calm, like is a calming energy and source in my life.
Mhm.
I wasn't up. I know what it's like to have a real stressful relate, always working on something, always having to talk something out, always having to figure something out. I'm sorry, I don't believe it should be that much work.
I
So
love that you said that because I've always said that, after like being in bad relationships, I was like, you know what? It shouldn't be this way, even though I feel like society kind of makes it like, oh, you have to have this friction or opposites attract, like back and
Yeah.
forth. But I feel like it shouldn't be. It should be with someone that makes you grow and be a better person together, you know?
Yeah. And that kind of gets back to, it's the why do you want this relationship? Again, like, is it like, is it passion? Is it that you want all, and again, that's not bad. It may not have a long lifespan, but
Mhm.
there's this male dating coach that I like, that I kind of follow and listen to his stuff. And he talks about, like, you realize that like 85% or more of marriage is like, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? What kind of meat, what kind of meat should we put out on the counter?
Yeah.
Who's picking up the kid, or just navigating life.
Hmm.
15% or less is sex, trips, exciting, like, and that's so true, right? Like, so I'm not saying don't have chemistry, don't have, but like, if you need somebody where like you can navigate life pretty easily together. You're
Hmm.
always having to have, I mean, again, I've been there, always having to figure something out, and communication wasn't right, and somebody's mad or hurt or this, or like, Denise, being single is a whole lot better than that.
Right, right,
I mean,
right.
it is. And again, like, if people don't trust themselves to date, like, is it because you think you're going to end up in one of those? I wouldn't
Hmm.
want to end up in one of those either.
Hmm.
Oh,
I mean, that makes perfect sense because I feel like it's awareness and knowing yourself and knowing that you could walk away. I feel like that actually was a big thing right now that you said that because I'm like, you're right. Like I could walk away. I don't have to feel stuck in it.
no. If it
Mhm.
starts being too hard, yeah, you get to say, like, yeah, it's just
Right.
not
It's as simple as that. And it's so
working.
funny because you said that I was like, you're
But
right. I could just walk away.
but we feel like we're somehow going to get swept up in something, and we're not going to be able to, like, yeah, like, to get out. And we're already thinking about how we're going to go through all this hell, and it's going to be stress, and it's going to be hard.
Hmm.
Denise, I don't know, I'd love to be part of your journey if you decide to venture out there, but I have a feeling you won't let it get very far anymore if it's
Hmm.
not good for you.
Right.
It's not, doesn't feel healthy. And that's a whole, it actually gets harder. I talk to my clients sometimes and they're like, but this person's a really good person and there's all these good
Hmm.
qualities, but
Right.
they just don't feel like they're the person
Hmm.
for whatever reason. And I'm like, well, welcome to like the land of dating healthy.
This is where you say it's not perfect. It doesn't make sense.
Like, yeah, it's like, thank God you're not dating the jerks and the, whatever
Right.
anymore, that like make it
That's
like
progress.
it's wrong. Now it has its own set of problems. Now you have
Right, right.
really nice people that maybe they're just not, like, I did that. Like, I dated some super, like, they're with people now, they're married, they're happy or whatever. Like, but for, again, like the girl that rejected my husband, like there's going to be some people out there that you just, whatever, you just don't feel it. Right.
Right.
What was my point? I lost it. But yeah, but like, you're not going to let yourself, like, so that may be something you struggle with, but you're not going to be in a situation where you're like, I hope for very long. Like, I got to the point where, like, I could tell, like, if they weren't texting me back, if they weren't asking me out pretty soon, if they, all this stuff that keeps us up, tossing and
Mhm.
turning and wondering, and we're coming up with all these excuses about why maybe they're just busy and all that crap. Like, no, they're not.
Right,
And
right.
you're going to have enough, I think, the goal is to get where you have enough confidence where you can just
Hmm.
accept that it doesn't crush you, and you move down the road. You're not going to end up in a year-long miserable situation.
Yeah,
You're
when you said that, it was such a aha moment. I feel like we were just in a coaching session. We're just recording this.
good. That was good. I liked it. I'm
Well,
glad to do that.
I love this. And my God, I had so many golden nuggets. Like, I love where the conversation ended. It ended up like in directions I'd never imagined. So thank
Yeah.
you so much. I love this.
Good. I hope so. I hope it, want it to be helpful to folks, and yeah, this whole love and connection and everything, it's just so much deeper if it's right, and if it's at
Mhm.
the point where I think is true and lasting love and connection, it's not about body, and it's so much more than that, and that's just sort of that's just like the first layer of the onion, and you got to dig into like what's really underneath that. Again, do I don't trust myself? Do I not like myself? Am I afraid of any rejection, would crush me? I just encourage anyone to kind of dig through those levels, those layers of the onion, right? And figure out, because you are cutting yourself off from what's just sort of inexplainable. I love doing dating coaching. I love it. But I also sometimes think, Amanda, like some of this is just sort of inexplainable. There's not a formula.
Right.
And I don't think there is now I can help people like we've done, like have some aha moments, but it's not a say this, wear this, be this size.
Not cut and dry. Like I feel like it's so many different situations for different people.
It's so mysterious. It's timing. It's who you are. It's your energy. It's finding the person that just complements, like I'll shut up in a minute, but like I always say, like my stuff, my issues, my whatever, they don't trigger my husband and vice versa. So we just work. Whereas these other people, if you're out there dating, like it just could be that sort of like oil and water or whatever, like your stuff triggers them and their stuff triggers you. And if you find yourself, then it's just not the right match. It's not about being perfect. I am not perfect. My husband's not perfect. It's just his stuff doesn't spin me all out and my stuff doesn't make him spin out. Right.
So complement each other in a way, in an imperfect way.
And yeah. And that's mysterious. I didn't know that when I saw his profile on the app. I didn't know, like it's just sort of, so you do have to take chances.
It's funny you said that, and I'm like, okay, our time is almost up. But I wanted to touch on that since you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Online dating, especially pictures and everything like that.
Yeah.
What do you recommend someone who's online dating and, it's hard to judge someone by the cover of their picture, right? Like, so what do you recommend in that aspect of it? Like, of when they're going through that process?
Well, gosh, again, there's no perfect formula. I mean, I think being very like is real and as transparent about number one, how you present externally and who you are is just the way to go. Like, don't try to be sneaky or why would you put yourself through that hell of knowing that eventually maybe it's not going to match up. Right. So both in who you are internally and externally, just again, that's part of that love. Like, help yourself out by just putting it out there and they can decide whether they're, interested or not. Right. Not, so there's that. I think, just a kind of tactical thing. If you're not somebody who likes to go on a lot of dates, I would say have a phone call first. You'll be able to tell a lot by that. I know people are like, oh my God, talk on this thing. Like, who does that? Right.
I've done the safe way and I only do coffee. I don't do dinner. I don't do anything, I do coffee, but I haven't done the phone call, do the messaging and so forth, but I haven't done the phone call.
It for me, like there were some that I could just immediately tell, like, nope. Like, and they might've been like super great looking or whatever, but like, no. And then there were others where I was like, oh, I'm really intrigued by this person. And then I was even more excited about meeting them, in person. So I'd say that's, but, again, just be really clear. I remember when I did mine, I had pictures of me that weren't all dolled up because like, I don't always look dolled up. Right. Like, you want to, you don't want to like, it's not like right when I roll out of bed, but
I feel like just be yourself. I feel that's one of the biggest things.
Like I have to say, what is so people that are doing online dating, don't just put, I like sushi, I like dogs. Like, what is the experience of you? If I go out on a date with Denise, what's that experience going to be? Paint me a picture of that.
Oh, I like that.
You laugh a lot. Are you going to be sarcastic? Are you going to be the one, that points out I don't know, the best restaurant to go to? Like,
Mhm.
what's the experience of you? That helps you stand out among the I like sushi, I like walks, I like.
Right, right. Okay.
A couple little tips, but I could do a whole other hour.
That's a whole another conversation. I love that. Well,
I like to talk about dating, but yeah.
I know I love, my gosh, I had so many aha moments, and I love that we dig deep into this conversation. I feel like I feel like it lightened me up in the sense of like, oh my God, like just those little small moments, I'm like, okay, it could be fun, like, so I hope everyone who's listening feels that same way because I know I did. So thank you so much, Amanda, for spending this time with us, an hour or so.
Thanks for letting me go on. I'm sure it went on a little longer than planned.
Oh no, this is awesome. So thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I hope to talk to you soon again.
Okay, me too. Thanks, Denise.